Welcome to Happy Homes and Gardens. I'm your host. My name is Daphne Royse. I am a real estate broker, architecture, and interior designer. Chithra Rajagopalan recently appears on the cover of the August issue of Red Hot Monde Magazine. She has become the center of attention not only because she is beautiful, but also because she has a big heart and creates opportunity for better education and lives for young people. Let's welcome Chithra, who is board president of Blossom Project, and let her share her stories. How are you, Chithra?
I'm doing great, Daphne. Thank you so much for that sweet, kind introduction. Really appreciate you.
Thank you. And please tell us who you are and how you are involved with the Blossom Project.
Yeah, absolutely. But before I even start with Blossom Projects, let me also share what I do as a day job. So my name is Chithra Rajagopalan. I head finance function at Obsidian Security. So it's a cybersecurity company. We provide complete security for all software apps by eliminating posture-related risk or offering advanced threat protection for human, non-human identities within your SaaS environment. Now, why is this important, right? Like security teams all around the world, no matter how big or small you are, they are like gaining a lot of visibility and control over SaaS. It's getting a bit of a challenge, right? Especially with the workforce today being so distributed. This gap is actually being exploited by hackers. So we are being able to like create that space where software related breaches can be immediately addressed, and we are part of so many breaches that is happening on a day-to-day basis, and it's shocking how massive of an issue this is. And hopefully with Obsidian we are able to prevent that gap and solve this problem globally. So when I'm not doing fun stuff with cybersecurity and finance, my focus is then on Blossom Projects. So we are a 501c3 nonprofit formed here in Menlo Park, California, and we serve youth from marginalized communities by helping them graduate high school and then attain either a path to higher education or help them land a job which will make them financially secure.
When you're helping kids, what are the age range kids that you're helping?
Yeah, so that's a very good question. So we actually serve kids somewhere in the 16 years average range. And they come to us probably like few years before, like while they're going through high school, or like they might have already dropped out. So that's usually the sweet spot where we help the kids. So they're mostly like young adults, right?
How did you select the kids? Well, every kid had opportunity to work with you.
Yeah, so we have an executive director and a field team back in India. And the institute is right now in Kerala, which is south of India, which, fun fact, is where I was born and raised. So we have a team who actually goes and does these field events where we go to communities which are marginalized or belong to tribal areas, and we really spread the word about education. We spread the word about what Blossom does, and we try and pick students right from where they are in that community. So that way, the impact is much more sharper and it's more deeper.
And when was the Blossom Project created?
Believe it or not, we have been around for 12 plus years now. So originally formed by Dayamudra, she was an amazing woman. So she was able to go work with our team down in India, and she created the nonprofit. The new board took over 5 years back. That's when I became part of it as well. And we gave it a facelift and we kind of rebranded a little bit. And since then, we have been just focusing on creating maximum impact through our own efforts. So it's been a great journey, and we have impacted over 1,500 students today, which is amazing. And my goal is that in the next 5 more years, we can probably impact another 1,000 more.
How do kids grow up in India? Can you explain the school systems in India?
So, when you hear about India, you must be thinking straight to like a lot of engineers, doctors, lawyers. So people must be wondering, like, why is there an education issue here, right? However, like one thing we forget is that there is like massive inequality when it comes to income or wealth distribution. The parity is like enormous, right? So these are the children who we are focused on. These are the children who are neglected because they just cannot afford like basic food and shelter. So forget about education, right? And this is a growing problem, and it's not confined to one single country. This is a global issue. And we here at Blossom Projects, we want to support students who are or children who are coming from these marginalized community because they don't have a voice of their own. They don't have anyone advocating for them. They don't even know what they're missing out on in life just because they were born into a certain part, a certain community, or a certain caste. No one's speaking for them. The students we enroll in our program today in Kerala, they're actually coming mostly from tribal or lower caste communities. So I don't know how familiar you are with Indian caste system. It used to be pretty deeply ingrained into the community. Even though the Indian government demolished the whole caste system in the 1950s, there is still like traces of it everywhere, right? Like there are still caste-based discrimination happening. There are still uh, people and communities that are being impacted due to this. So it's not fair for these kids who are coming from these communities to be denied of the opportunities for having a better livelihood, right? Like they never had control over this. It was never their choice. So why are we penalizing them for something they never even had a say over? So we are here to be that voice for those kids. And like I said, this is not an isolated issue. There are kids hurting all over the world because they were part of a certain tag that the society dictated for them, right? So hopefully Blossom Projects is able to give them that hope and a path for future, for making them equipped for with better education, better healthcare, better mental health support, really give them that tools that they need to thrive in a community, and help them be stable in their own lives.
I know you only focus on helping kids, but do you helping them maybe building their careers?
Yeah, that's also a very good question. So usually what happens is our core focus is to get them pass graduate high school, which is the basic requirement to be employable, even for a basic job, right? Which could provide them enough financial support. So that is the main goal. However, we have seen that 85% of students who enroll with us are able to go into a higher education path where they write entrance exams and they're able to enroll into like scholarships or like support with the government. We are able to like help them do some undergraduations or master program. Or we have seen them able to secure a, a job or somewhere where they can financially start, earning a livelihood after they graduate high school. So we have seen both paths. So one thing we do during our program is we bring professionals from the industry who are able to come in and speak with the kids, on like what are the different career paths that they can choose based on some of the interests that they have, which they didn't probably even know or think about until they came to Blossom Projects. And we really help them nurture that ambition that they have and trigger that a little bit spark in them to be able to think bigger. So that's the thing, that's the beauty of it, right? Till they come to our program, they didn't even know that they could think bigger or dream bigger or even have a dream, right? So we are able to like bring that ambition out of them. And some of this includes career counseling, having them talk to experts one-on-one. So then they're given a platform to be able to ask questions.
Okay, just out of curiosity, is there also 12 years education in India?
Yes, by the 12th grade, they're kind of getting done with the high school and then they enroll into an undergraduate program.
What is important to focus on mental health?
Yeah, so I think one main core element of what we do is focusing on marginalized communities or tribal communities. The students who enroll with us from these uh, particular areas, they're actually coming from extreme poverty or neglect. They're usually physically abused or mentally or sexually abused, and they're never given that love or attention that they truly deserve. So our staff at Blossom Projects are actually equipped to address this. So just because you get them back into school, there's no guarantee that they would stick with the high school program in actual school. So they need that special attention, special care, because healing is important to be able to focus on education and get that foundation set, right? So this is where people don't understand that just because you give them a school, that doesn't solve for anything. These scars and trauma that they're developing through early formative stages of their childhood and adulthood, it's actually going to dictate their entire future as an adult, right? This is why we need to focus on healing them mentally. So our curriculum is formed in a way that we do a lot of art, of music, and related activities. So that really helps the student break out of their shell. And we have seen massive success with these programs. So, one other thing that mental health in itself is not going to achieve anything is without proper nutrition, mental health is also not going to be achievable, right? So, kids, when they join us, are extremely malnutritioned or deprived of like basic access to food. So, a residential program, or we're able to give students like three nutritious meals a day. So that really enhances their recovery journey and really helps them kind of focus better. And it really helps that healing much more faster. And I think the mental health topic in itself is like personally for me, it's a uh, big core element of who I am. Like growing up through my adult life, I've gone through a fair share of struggles myself. And I think this is true for everybody out there, right? Like we all have our own baggages, our own struggles, no matter how rich or poor you are, or how successful or not successful you are. We have our own things that we struggle with on a daily basis. And growing up for my society where I grew up in, this was a taboo topic. Nobody talks about mental health. And hopefully the future generation can kind of crack and shatter this somehow. But I didn't understand the value of mental health until I hit rock bottom. I had to, seek medical help like 2019. I think that's what changed my life entirely. So I'm a huge believer and a huge advocate when it comes to mental health. I totally believe I am who I am today because I did all that investment and work to get that, get myself out of that dark ditch I didn't even know existed, right? So I really want to openly talk about this topic because I still feel like there's so much hesitation in the society we are in, especially among the Indian community. I've seen this. And I think this is the issue we need to address. We need to normalize this. So let's like I love talking about it more and talking about brain health and normalizing that term, right? Like a mentally healthier society is so vital for us to thrive as humanity, right? Especially in this world where kindness is unfortunately very scarce. It really all starts with brain health, I feel. I mean, I do my part for myself, at least I do my daily meditations, eating right, sleeping right. These are things I know are basics that I can help do for my own mental health journey. So, let's help ourselves and let's help each other create a better world. And what best way to start other than, supporting young adults and having these ingrained in them very early in their life cycle.
What is the core purpose of a Blossom project besides mental health and also education? Is there anything else that you guys focus on?
Yeah, so I think there is also an element of leadership and confidence building here, right? So we know for a fact that education and mental health is definitely a foundation that needs to be set right. Some of the students who have joined us, we have, like I said, we have seen massive successes, but it also has a trickle effect into the community. So one of the students, I remember, after he graduated our program, he went back to his community and he started a tuition center, which he then started helping other students, where other students started seeking his mentorship and guidance to kind of better themselves up. So when that community in itself grows, there is a growth in the society, which impacts a state, a country, and then the world, right? So I think that trickle effect is what we stand for at Blossom Projects.
And women empowerment has had a louder voice in the recent years. Can you share your thoughts on this matter?
Yeah, this is a very meaty topic for me. And I would also say that it's a very dear and near topic to my heart as well. I think mental health and both women empowerment, I don't know, I can talk for this for hours, but I was never someone who truly understood the meaning of this term until my core beliefs were challenged, until I had to go through a survival journey. So probably like the better way to address this question is maybe like I can share a little bit about my personal journey. I'm pretty sure a lot of women out there can relate to this and hopefully can come out and share their experiences as well, maybe after they hear this interview. So I grew up in a very traditional family where I was literally raised to be a wife by a set of parents who are very highly educated and they had their own careers. But for some reason, daughters were always, this fragile time bomb that they just had to like get married off before they turned 23, God forbid. So which my parents did too. So I went through an arranged marriage many years back, where my mother pretty much chose my future husband through a matrimony website. So I think the easy way to explain this, it sounds ridiculous to me now that I think about it, but it was so normalized. Like imagine Tinder or Hinge, but then your parents do the swiping. So I mean, I was totally fine with that since it's very normalized. My cousins did it, my friends did it, so sure, I'm gonna do it too. So, I mean, I was 23 and I'm extremely naive. Unfortunately, the marriage didn't work out, and I literally got uprooted because of that, because my ex-husband was here in the US. I had to like shift entirely to the US. I had no family, no friends here in the US. I was very dependent on my husband at that time. But I learned so much from this experience. I pretty much discovered who I was as a person. I uncovered so much self doubt and self blame I had in myself, which I didn't even know existed. This lack of confidence that I had in myself, the validations I kept seeking from my caregivers or spouse. But unfortunately, I had to like hit rock bottom to discover all that, with no money or no support from family in a foreign country. God knows what I'm doing. I was just trying to survive. That's all I did. And thankfully, I had a job, which is why going back to that education, it's so important to have something, an education of some sort where you can stand on your own feet. It's an investment no one can take away from you, right? But I would have never changed a thing going back today, thinking about the whole experience that I had. I don't want to change anything that I experienced because it made me who I am today. So, women empowerment, the term for me is that the self-discovery, who we are as women, what are our superpowers? We don't realize the kind of powers that we have as a woman. Like we are engineered genetically in a way where we are capable of so many things, and somehow society has dictated that she has to be married, she needs to have children, she needs to take care of everyone but herself, deprioritize yourself. In the grand scheme of things, her ambitions, her goals, nobody cares, right? Like why, like who decided all this? Like why are we buying into the system that society dictated for us, right? I think these are the questions I've been asking since I went through my challenges. And it has shaped a lot of my reality and a lot of my thinking, because these were questions no one forced me to ask before I got married or while I was going through my adulthood, which probably would have helped me set up myself better in my future. So I think I love sharing my story. I love expressing who I am today, and which I was not confident before, but today I am. And clearly, this is the biases we need to internally remove. I am someone who have I broke every single thing I was taught and raised to do. And I have like so many friends who have reached out to me asking for help, for other women friends who are stuck in similar situations like this. And if I'm able to inspire at least one person or at least get one person out of a miserable journey they're in, I would see that as a success for myself. And we really need to nudge each other to find our superpowers as women. I feel like sometimes we are our greatest enemies. I think slowly that has to change. Like you and I met very randomly at an event, and you gave me this platform to share my story, right? Like I think we need to do that for women who are able to, like, really embrace their true self somewhere. And my friends and well-wishers like yourself have done that to me, and it's time for all of us to pay forward. And this my life has been a great journey. I love where I am, from being a naive immigrant Indian girl who didn't know what a green card even was to a proud American citizen today. And I'm really grateful for being in this country. And I think the experience of the freedom that I didn't even know that was possible, right? Like I have an agency over my life. This unfortunately would not have been possible back in India, even today. Like it's unfortunate that young, ambition, husbandless girls are not able to thrive, and it's seen as in a very different lens compared to here in the US. So hopefully that changes, and I think hopefully we can all embrace women empowerment in itself, in the like in its own essence. It's so powerful for us to be able to help each other out. And in spite of all the adversities and challenges, I really hope women are able to come out and really really celebrate their true superpowers.
You think those are superpowers coming from women's would tie closely with the culture and also education?
I think there's a little bit of both, right? I when when I was like when I was growing up, I was never told anything other than, oh yeah, you're gonna be married. So what's the point of education? What is the point of having a job? So somewhere in my head, I was like, that is true. I'm gonna be married anyway. So maybe I don't have to. But I pushed myself like, no, I do want to get an MBA. I do want to try. I got selected through campus placement at Deloitte. That was my first job. And I was like, no, no, dad, I do want to go and work. I want to experience all that. And it's like, why? Like, I don't get it. So I had to like battle some of that taboo. Like, thank God that I pushed myself to do these things, because my own caregivers were literally telling me not to do it and it's not important, which I never understood. Like, now that I think back, I'm like, where did this all come from? When did society start deciding my future and not me? So I think there's a little bit of that, but there's also like element of education that really do expose you to a lot of different kind of people, different kind of thinking. I always tell women, like, have a backup plan. Marriage is not that. Have a backup plan. Know that when something happens, you can stand up on your feet. Know that if everything around you collapses, you still have an education where you can go get a basic job and have a living, earn something, have an identity for yourself. No matter how good or bad your marriage is, or whatever life you're in, how good or bad it is, have an identity for yourself. It is so important to build that, because honestly, through my journey and experience, you really understand who's there for you when you go through these challenges. You don't want to be surprised, because life will surprise you if you're not prepared. So just do your basics to equip yourself to be able to stand on your feet everything around you collapses, what is your plan? Ask yourself that question today.
Since education is so important, what is average age of kids in your program seeking education? And what are the challenges to getting them back in school?
Yeah. So, like I mentioned, the average age is around 16. So that's when they are kind of like in that very core young adult phase, where they usually like drop out of high school. So that's when they come and join us, and where we're really able to show maximum impact in their lives. So I would say the biggest challenge right now is in the schooling system is that them not being able to get the care and attention that they need, right? Given the mental trauma, given the backgrounds they're coming in, it's really hard for them to stick themselves into a normal education system, which is why we need to curate a program which really caters towards their needs, and we are able to help them exactly the way they need to be helped at, which is exactly why we also have a very trained staff who's able to kind of take care of that need for these kids. And the background that these children grow up is not very conducive for their development. So it doesn't really show them the importance of path towards education, or importance of thinking a little differently when it comes to earning a living for themselves. Because when children are neglected at this age, their tendency to go to drugs or join a mob or kind of go in a very scary direction is much more larger than them going and seeking education opportunities somewhere, right? So it's a very delicate age. And we have seen so much more success when we come at that age, and we're able to really, really help them construct their thinking in a more productive manner.
What is the biggest challenge of running Blossom Project?
Yeah, where do I start? So I think one of the challenges is that we do work with a very small team. We do have our volunteers, but we do need more help on the volunteer side, like social marketing, whether it comes to like curating a media package, or like like simple things like having some operational efficiency on the back end. So we are a very small team now, so there is a lot of opportunities out there. So hopefully folks listening to this can jump in and volunteer for maybe helping us out a little bit. And the other thing is, like, we are also expanding our board, so that really uplifts the kind of expertise we're able to bring in to the program, and we are able to expand our network. We're able to expand partnerships that we have. So that is definitely another area where we spend a lot of time kind of strategizing. And as you can tell, like, fundraising is always a challenge, I feel. So that how do you think differently when it comes to fundraising? How are you able to figure out different partnership programs or different grants? These are all very time consuming, and like it requires a lot of expertise, which we are seeking right now hopefully through board members joining us. And I think for me, like, it's time. Like, there's only 24 hours, so we try our best to keep up the momentum and keep going. And when I think about these kids, and it really motivates me every morning to get up and do something better in the world, because I had a privileged life, and there's nothing I take granted for after I read about these stories and I know my kids more intimately. I know for a fact that how much they struggle. It's not even an excuse for me, right? I have such an amazing life here. Like, what is my excuse for not trying to make this world better?
In the foreseeable future, can you see Blossom projects expanding into other countries?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you noticed, we are Blossom Projects and not Blossom Project. This is a curation of like multiple projects that we want to do across the country, across the globe. Um, it's just that this is the first place we started our program, right? Like Kerala in India is where we have our first institute. We are literally getting started. The model that we have today is very replicatable. And we know for a fact that there is demand all over the country, all over the world, and even in the community. There is like so much demand coming from other students who want to enroll more. But our capacity and resources are limited to like 30, 40 kids per year, which is why we're not able to enroll more children. But we know for a fact that once we expand the program, we'll be able to even just help within the community a lot more kids than we have today. So I love that it's a replicatable model. And we have been on the back end trying to work with some of the few partnership initiatives with other nonprofit organizations to expand the program more easily into different locations. And to my point earlier, one of the challenges that we do provide hostel facility, because these kids that come to us, they don't even have a place to live. And they don't have houses. They're usually like in tents with their families or something. So they love that they have a roof over their head that they can call a safe home, where they can sleep happily at night. So the residential program in itself is very important. When the students stay with us, they're able to develop their strengths through their peers and other students, their friends, and through the teachers. It's so important for their development. So that program is much more successful than if they didn't have the residential part, right? So that's one of the challenges from expanding a lot more easily, because we will need a facility to support the kids. But with the help of our donors and supporters and sponsors, I'm pretty sure that we'll be able to get to that point soon. It's just baby steps for now.
Wow, that's a lot of work for you guys.
Yes.
And where is the Blossom Project's website, and how can people help you?
Yeah, so you can reach us at www.blossomprojects.org. And you'll find everything in there, including the link to sign up for our newsletter. So if you go to our event section, you'll be able to see different events we've been doing, fundraiser events we've been doing. You can check out about the leadership there as well. And how people can help, I would say, is as small as $105 per month. That's what it takes to support one student for 1 month. And that includes everything. That includes their housing, their tuition, their food, their clothing, all the study material that they need, tuition fee for salarying our staff. So all of that is included in this $105, which if I break it down, it's like $3.50 a day. It's like literally a cafe latte, right, that you drink every day. So that's all it takes. That's all it takes to change a life for the rest of their future. So I would love to, really start spreading this word about Blossom Projects. And if anyone out there who wants to learn more about us or support us or wants to donate, you can always come back to the website or email me at chithra@blossomprojects.org. I'm happy to always catch up with you to share more details. But please do check out our website, and please sign up for our newsletter. We would love to share more exciting facts about our kids and how their journey has been throughout their life here in Blossom Projects as well.
Thank you so much, Chithra, and thank you so much for sharing this informative information of Blossom Projects.
Thank you, Daphne. This was a pleasure. Thank you so much for this opportunity.